Hi everyone. I guess today is my first official My Mental Health Monday video. And I just want to say, like, as a disclaimer, be kind because I really don't have a plan and I really don't even know what I'm going to say right now. Like, I've kind of written some things down that I think I want to touch on, but I'm not really sure, like, where this is going to go. Uh, yeah. So be patient, be kind. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyways, so yes, I'm sitting in my car alone, and ironically, I'm at a park in the town that I live in because it seems like the only place I can go to like park my car where I don't think anyone's gonna like drive by or walk by and be like, what is she doing? Because I'm telling you, this feels really weird to me. Although I know people do this all the time, like make videos, but I'm like, I don't know, it just feels weird. Anyway, so I went and got my teeth cleaned at the dentist this morning, so I have a babysitter. So I figured this would be a really good time to do a video because I have the babysitter for 1 more hour. So I got a coffee, posted up in the park like a creep by myself, and yeah, let's do this. Okay, so first off, I just want to say thank you so much again for like all the love and support. It really helps motivate me to do this, like to keep going and to kind of reassure myself that this is a good thing and not like a weird thing. And so thank you, because sincerely, that's my motivation to keep going, is you guys who have, reached out or just left comments that were so kind. Thank you. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited. I'm excited to do this. I feel like it's been a long time coming. Um, I almost have like so much that's been like built up in my brain for so long, like cooped up, that I'm like, I just want to word vomit like all these things that I'm thinking of and have been feeling and like want to share. But I think the best way to go is to kind of start at the very beginning. And so what I want to share first is that the beginning of like kind of starting to have issues with anxiety and depression is it all began, I believe, with depression. And when I became pregnant with Braxton, my oldest, that's when I was making the connection that it was more than depression, it was anxiety. So for like 10 years, little like 9 or 10 years, I was working on depression. I'm positive I had anxiety and like things going on then, but I didn't recognize it as that. So I just want to have a clarity there that the beginning of my story starts with depression. So like my very first memory of dealing with it, I think I was either a junior or a sophomore in college. I want to say junior because I could drive. And all I really remember is I was so tired all the time. I don't really know if I remember being sad. I just remember being exhausted. And I didn't play sports in high school, but I did work. That was always my parents' rule, is if we had to stay busy. If you weren't going to play sports or like, something related to school after, you needed to work. So I worked, and I worked at Papa John's, and I made pizza. Anyways, so that was my thing. So I just remember I was tired all the time. I would get home from school, and the first thing I did was just get in bed. I would run up to my room, get in bed, and I'd fall asleep. And I would set like an alarm on my cell phone for like, 10 or 15 minutes before I had to go to work because it was super close. And my alarm would go off, and I'd have to force myself to get out of bed. And I'd throw on my work clothes. I always looked kind of, I think, disheveled, but that's the state of mind I was in. And I'd go to work, and I would kind of just turn it off and be on. And then I'd come home, and I would do my homework and I would just pass out. And then at school, I was just super, super tired all the time. I mean, I knew that that probably was weird. And not weird, but that was like off. But, you know, when you're 15 or when you're 16, like, how do I don't know. I didn't know. But my mom knew. And so what ended up happening is one day she was like, hey, I made a doctor's appointment for you. We're going to go this day. And I'm like, okay, sure. And I thought it was just, you know, my regular annual doctor's appointment. And we got there and, you know, they're taking the vitals. Totally seems normal. And then my doctor, like, turns around in her little swivel chair and and she was like, okay, so I guess we're going to talk about depression. And I'm like, what? And I look at my mom and she's just kind of like, yeah, you know? And I'm like, oh, so confused. Like, wait, what? And, yeah, my mom made the appointment for depression, but didn't tell me that, which is fine. I'm not upset about that. Even to this day, that's not weird to me. And I just remember my doctor being like, do you want to talk about this in private or do you want your mom to be here? And I'm like, I guess private. And my mom left the room and I just started bawling, like uncontrollable, like crying. I don't know if it was like some sort of just like mental release where I'm like, okay, like maybe this is something, like maybe I'm gonna start feeling better, so like a relief. And they ended up prescribing me for, I don't know what drug it was, but an antidepressant, and it worked. So I'm pretty sure I was on that through high school. And then, and I don't really remember having any, like, serious issues from it. I just remember, I remember the coming home and sleeping all the time. Sleeping. But that's kind of like my only, like, memory of what that was. And then in in college, I was for sure depressed. It was just a new chapter of life, being away from home. I didn't know anybody really, and so I felt super, super alone. And I wasn't taking any medication. I think I just went off of it that summer because I was kind of like, oh, I feel fine. Like, I'm not going to take this anymore. We all know how that goes if you've experienced depression before and have been on medication. Not true. And so I'm like, oh, I'm fine. And I think I was for the summer. But then, winter hit my freshman year of college and it was bad. It was really, really bad. I was not in a good place. I was very unhappy. But thankfully, I had been able to make really great friends who I am still friends with to this day, who are my sisters. You all know who you are. You are my sisters. I still lean on them. I leaned on them then, and I leaned on them now. Or I lean on them now, and, God sends all of them. There's 6 of them, and you guys are so important to me. Anyways, so I went on medication then, and that helped. It helped with being sad, and I just always associated sleeping all the time and wanting to sleep with depression, because that's just kind of in the beginning how that affected me. So, also, fun fact, if you didn't know, I am super OCD and I am very anal about how things are in order and clean in my house. And I've always been that way growing up. My room, I made my bed every morning. My books were always stacked a certain way, pristine. And in college, it was like that too. I remember my dorm leader, or what are those people called that are in your dorm and they're RA. Huh. My RA, I remember her saying something like, it looks like you don't even live here, because it just always looked no one lived there. It just looked like this like little setup area that nobody touched. Like, and that's just how I function, because that makes me feel like organized, in control of my scenario, like my environment. Anyways, so yeah. So I think that was always, I knew something was wrong when I was sleeping a lot. And I also always had, like, if you saw my living environment and if it was trashed, that meant I wasn't okay too. Because when I'm in my happy zone, I have everything organized. And when I'm depressed, I'm sleeping and I don't care anymore. So those were always my two, like, okay, something's up. So yeah, those are like my two beginning memories, really, of dealing with that. Another thing that I want to share, which is incredibly sensitive for me and difficult and painful for me, is that mental health involving anxiety and depression run in my family. So it is part of who I am. Sometimes people can have anxiety and it's just like, you know, a little chapter in their life where you're having anxiety about a presentation at work or school or an interview, whatever, and, you know, you've experienced that. But like chronic depression and anxiety, like I have that. Like I will have this the rest of my life. So to me, you know, seeing my family have that as well, I know it's not going anywhere, and that's okay. It sucks, but I'm aware, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm aware that it runs in my family. I'm fully aware that it's something that I have, and something I take a lot of pride in for myself is I'm proactive about it. I've seen firsthand, like through my family, how that can affect people if it's not being taken care of properly, and it's just really hard. And with that being said, like having grown up around that, it's also contributed to me having more anxiety, and I think I will share more about that later. But for right now, I just think it's important to know, like, I have chronic anxiety and depression. It's not going anywhere. So anyways, yeah. And then outside of college, I was happier because I was home, and by home I just mean like closer to home. I was living in Seattle, and I love the city. I love city life. I love energy. And I guess side note, one thing I do love about the city is, like, even if you're sad or you feel alone, I loved that I could be around people and feel the energy, and that always made me feel less alone. So yeah, there's like a special place in my heart for all cities. I love them. I do not live in one. I do not live in a big city anymore. But yeah, I love the city. Anyway, so yeah, out of college, I was happier because I was more close to home, and I was just in an environment that felt better for me, because I was in school in Eastern Washington and I just couldn't handle the weather. It just felt isolated because, like I said, I like the city, and that was not the city. And so yeah, graduating and being home felt better, but I was still depressed and dealing with just like family issues that were really hard. Yeah. And so I think I'm going to go this route. I'm trying to figure out, like, where I want this to go. So, okay. Rewind, or like recap. Depression since I was about 15, 16. Medicated, went off of it, kind of got back into a bad slump in college, went back on it. It was manageable. I didn't love where I was living, but like I was functioning well. But I was in college in a town where there wasn't much to do, which meant we were drinking. We were being young 20s and dumb and having fun. And outside of college, the first couple years, I was kind of in this, I mean, I'm 23, was 23, 24, and I met Bo when I was 24. We had Brax when I was 25. So I feel like those 20s, young 20s were Hot Mess Express. But it was like everyone was Hot Mess Express. So I didn't even realize that, I was trying to suppress things or like drinking was an outlet. I didn't even know I was really doing that until like probably 24, where I was like, I think I'm drinking to make myself feel better. That's not good. Not necessarily like alcoholic style, but that if I was having a bad day and I had a girlfriend that was like, hey, do you want to go out for drinks? My mood would automatically be like, yes, let's do that. Because I knew it was going to be a temporary fix to make me feel better. The problem with this is when you have depression and you're using downers like alcohol to feel better, when you come down from that like high or whatever, it's horrible. And like, I didn't even realize that like more depression was coming from that down of, the next day or whatever. Like, I had no idea that I was probably making things, that I was making things worse for myself. But this is why I'm like, I need to make these videos, man, because this is all about awareness and sharing our knowledge and letting people know you're not alone. My girlfriend posted something on one of the videos that I posted the other day, and she was like, I would have loved to have heard these things when I was younger. And I'm like, amen to that. Me too. But I didn't know. I didn't know what I was doing, and I just was kind of lost in life. I didn't know. Anyway, so I think I'm going to stop there because it's almost been 20 minutes and I'm just rambling. But, yeah, depression, it is not fun. Yeah, so thanks for listening. Again, thanks for your support. If you have any questions or comments, send them to me, comment. I will look at them. One thing, I know my husband Bo's gonna watch this because, he's my husband. And funny story, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, Bo was laying in bed, and I came in the room and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? What are you watching? And he's like, oh, I'm watching like a middle school spelling bee. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And so I'm like, well, I want to watch this. So we're like watching kids spell words, and one of the words was vlogger. And like, I was like, oh, I can spell that, VLOGGER. And he's like, what? What's a vlogger? I don't even know what that is. And I'm like, ugh, Bo, don't you know? Get with the times. Vlogger is a video blogger. You take videos of yourself, duh. And he was like, I've never heard of that. Well, guess what, Bo? I'm blogging right now. Anyways, made me laugh. But, yeah, I'm really excited about this, you guys. I think it's gonna be good. I'm excited about vlogging, actually, because I always have like so many thoughts and things in my head, and like things I've tried journaling. I've tried blogging and like making a little site for myself to go to, and maybe I was going to share it, but my brain just can't type, my hands can't type as fast as the thoughts and like memories are coming back to me. It's just, I can't. So it's like, I'm super excited to be able to document with my words. It's kind of cool, actually. So yeah, I'm blogging. But anyways, yeah, if you have questions, comments, I'm happy to try and answer them for you. thanks, guys. And I guess I will see you next Monday for my Mental Health Monday.